Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the deceptive complexity behind one of the most common user interface elements in the world. Seriously, you interact with it every single day, probably without giving it a second thought. But behind the scenes, well, it's an absolute masterclass in distributed systems engineering. Let's get into it. Imagine opening up WhatsApp, Slack, or Instagram right now. You look at the app icon, and boom, there's a tiny red number. Let's say it's a 3. So what does that number actually mean? Your first instinct might be, oh, I have 3 unread messages. But wait, think about it. You might actually have hundreds of unread messages stretching back for weeks across all your group chats. So what is that tiny number really telling you? That number is the newly unread indicator. It's telling you that 3 distinct people have recently messaged you, and you just haven't seen what they said yet. Now, this is a massive distinction. We are not counting total unread messages here. We're counting the unique senders. And in the world of distributed systems running at internet scale, counting unique things, yeah, that's a fundamentally different and much harder problem to solve. Okay, here's our agenda for today's explainer. We'll start with the core problem, then look at approach 1 using MySQL. After that, we'll talk about the mental model shift, dive into approach 2 with a Redis architecture, and finally, wrap things up with failure modes and the trade-off matrix. Section 1, the core problem. To really understand why this is so tricky, we have to talk about computational complexity. Just counting items is a super simple O1 operation. You increment when you add something, decrement when you take it away. It's kind of like asking a librarian how many books are in the building, and they just glance at a digital counter on the wall. Done. But counting unique items, that requires state proportional to cardinality. If you ask that same librarian, hey, how many unique authors wrote the books that are currently checked out? They can't just look at a counter. They literally have to walk around, look at every single checked out book, write down the author's name, cross out the duplicates, and then count the final list. Same library, vastly different workload. Section 2, Approach 1, MySQL. So let's say you're modeling this at an early stage startup. You'd probably use a simple table schema like this. You've got a message ID as your primary key, a to user, a from user, a timestamp, and an unread Boolean flag. When the app wants to load your badge count, it just fires off a SQL query. Select count distinct from user where to user equals you and unread is true. Operationally, this is trivial. The whole thing is barely 30 lines of code. Now, a junior engineer might just slap an index on the to user and call it a day. But a senior engineer, they know this query is completely dominated by range scanning and deduplicating, so they'll use a covering index on to-user, TS, and from-user in that exact order. The equality predicate on to-user narrows the search down instantly. The timestamp gives you the window, and because the from-user is right there in the index, the database's B-tree does all that unique counting right on the index pages themselves. It literally never fetches actual data rows from the heap, which drops your query time from like 200 milliseconds all the way down to 5. Pretty clever, right? But here is where reality hits hard. This approach will eventually collapse under consumer scale traffic. First up, read amplification. Every single time any user opens the app, polls for updates, or gets a push notification, it triggers that count distinct query. If you got 1 billion daily active users, you're looking at tens of millions of queries per second. Second, hot rows. Think about celebrities or massive customer support accounts. The database is forced to deduplicate tens of thousands of rows every single time they open their phones. And finally, index bloat. As that messages table grows, your active working set is just constantly fighting for buffer pool memory. Eventually, it'll completely melt your database. Section 3, the mental model shift. All right, the core philosophy of distributed backend design is basically this. Reads are cheap when writes do the work. And writes are cheap when reads do the work. There is absolutely no free lunch here. In a messaging app, the reads, meaning every app open and every background sync, vastly outnumber the actual message sends, which are our writes. That naive MySQL approach we just looked at, it was doing heavy computation on every single read. So to survive internet scale, we have to completely shift that heavy lifting over to the right path. Section 4, Approach 2, Redis architecture. So instead of calculating the count right when the user asks for it, what if we compute it ahead of time? Step 1. The system actually already knows when a message is newly unread. It happens the exact moment a message is sent, and the present service detects that the recipient isn't actively looking at that chat. Step 2. The service emits an ONS MSG unsent event to a Kafka topic, which becomes our new source of truth. In step 3, a consumer worker picks up that event and updates a Redis set using the sadd command. Now, a really crucial question here is, why use a Redis set instead of just a basic counter like Redis INCR? Well, distributed systems fail. It's just a fact of life. Kafka guarantees at least once delivery, which means events are definitely going to get processed twice sometimes. If we used a simple counter, a retried event would cause an overcount. Plus, if your mom sends you 5 messages in a row, a counter goes up by 5, but we only want the unread badge to go up by 1. The Redis sadded operation adds an element to a set, and it is idempotent by definition. If the sender is already in the set, it's just a no-up. It naturally deduplicates everything and makes retries totally fearless. Honestly, this idempotency is the load-bearing pillar of this entire architecture. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, hold on, storing a set of users for every single person on the platform? That sounds incredibly memory heavy. Well, a senior engineer always quantifies before they design. So let's do the math together. If we have 100 million active users and the average user has unread messages from, say, about 100 distinct senders, factoring in the byte overhead for a small Redis set, the entire Redis cluster only needs about 500 gigabytes of memory. That is remarkably small. Remember, we're just storing the cardinality of active unreads, not the contents of the actual messages. And this brilliantly illustrates another advanced concept. When you're routing these events through Kafka, the partition key is absolutely critical. The Kafka partition key must match the Redis sharding key, which in this case is the destination user ID. Why? Because by doing this, all incoming unread events for a specific user will land on the exact same Kafka partition. That means one single worker exclusively processes them. It can batch them in memory, and it completely eliminates race conditions because no 2 workers are ever trying to update your specific Redis set at the exact same time. It's truly one of the highest leverage decisions you can make in system design. So what about the read path? We use the CQRS pattern, Command Query Responsibility Segregation. Basically, we have a separate auxiliary Redis replica that strictly serves reads. That way, a massive 9 a.m. traffic spike doesn't accidentally starve the write path. We also enforce hard timeouts, using something like context.withTimeout in our production Go code. If Redis is being slow, we just degrade gracefully and return 0 to the client. The app opens instantly, you just might not see the little red badge for a few seconds. No big deal.
Section 5. Failure modes.
A principal engineer has to know exactly how things break. Here's how we mitigate failure in this system. If Redis runs out of memory, we set the policy to no eviction, so it refuses new writes rather than silently dropping your counts. If the cache crashes entirely, well, it's eventually self-healing. As new messages come in, those sets just repopulate automatically. For Kafka lag, we meticulously track consumer group lag and auto-scale our workers as needed. For hot recipients, like huge celebrities, we strictly cap their Redis set at 10,000 elements. I mean, the UI is just going to show 9,999 plus anyway, right? And crucially, rollbacks. We wrap the read path in a feature flag. If this whole shiny new Redis system melts down, we can instantly flip a switch and route traffic right back to the naive MySQL approach. Golden rule: never deploy a system you can't instantly turn off.
Section 6. The trade-off matrix.
Let's compare the two. Not MySQL approach has a realistic ceiling of maybe 10,000 queries per second, with read latencies creeping up to 200 milliseconds. But its operational complexity is incredibly low, and it is strictly mathematically accurate. The Redis pre-computed approach? It drops read latency to under 1 millisecond and scales to millions of QPS. But the trade-off is that the write cost is way higher, the operational complexity means you're managing full Kafka and Redis clusters, and it's only eventually consistent. The real meta lesson here is that the naive database approach is actually the right answer for most companies, until your read traffic mathematically forces you to evolve. So let's summarize the core engineering tenets we've covered today. Always state your problems precisely and quantify your data before you draw a single box on a whiteboard. Identify your dominant axis. Like we saw, reads vastly outnumber writes here. Use idempotent operations everywhere so you can survive distributed replays. Align your partition keys to completely eliminate contention, and above all else, don't pre-optimize. Always prefer the simple route until you are absolutely forced to be complex. I want to leave you with one final thought. We just solved the newly unread indicator. But if you zoom out, what we really built is a per-entity distinct counter with high read fanout. So how would you apply this exact same mental framework to building Instagram's 5 friends commented on your post notification? Or LinkedIn's X people viewed your profile feature? The primitives are exactly the same. Master the primitives, and you can build absolutely anything. Keep building, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.